Have you considered the weight loss drug? Hello, welcome to Inadequate Mother. My name is Hayley Brown. I am signing at the same time as talking. You can watch me on YouTube and you might be listening to this and not watching it. I don't know. However, I just want to say I hope you've all had a lovely week. It's been all right. I just can't believe it's the bank holiday weekend again and my children are off school next week. It feels like literally yesterday it was Easter holidays. And anyway, it's all good. And if you do follow me on Instagram, you know that this last 2-3 months I've been going through a lot of an adjustment. My relationship finishing, children just getting older and they're not keen on spending time with me, and it's just emotionally I've adjusted, and that's meant that my focus on the podcast and conversation has been a bit distracted. I've fallen behind. I'm late. My editor, he's having to chase me and I'm like, ugh, just, it gets like that. It happens. But I am determined to continue this accessible podcast life. I'm meeting some wonderful people, and bless my beautiful friend, Andy Palmer, he has really helped me really kind of fill in the gaps of when I'm like struggling to think of a guest or find like an interesting conversation. He's just someone that's really interesting himself. He's well immersed in the deaf community, but also he has a real genuine curiosity for people. So we're having a conversation, and this is part 2 of an episode we did, because we all talk for like 2-3 hours, no problem. But this is for weight loss drugs. So Andy is very bravely sharing his journey on weight loss drug he has been using, so he's going to share his experience. And then we're also going to cover like how I feel about my daughter going off to university. We're going to be discussing society, the education system. It's an all-rounder. But I hope you enjoy. And yeah, any questions specifically with the weight loss drug, just pop them or comment below. We will engage. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe and find me on Instagram, Hayley Brown and Co. Mwah.
I'll give you some context. I've always been a bit of a bigger lad.
Okay.
From school, really. But I'm broad, right? I've got good shoulders, and it kind of, because I've got them broad, it's kind of always hidden a little bit of just how big I am. If you've got a smaller frame, you carry the weight a bit differently.
Yeah, my dad's like that.
Yeah. So I've always been overweight, but I've always really had struggled to resist like eating processed foods or chocolates or bad stuff. Really, never been that into fruit and vegetables, and a good diet. Never really been that good at it, and so as a result, just over the years, like with age, I've just gained weight. And I've been on this journey a few times where I've gained weight, and then I'm like, when you get literally to the last pair of trousers that you can put on, you refuse to buy any bigger sizes, and I've got up to 40-inch waist, and they were baggy when I bought them, kind of they fit right, and then they were getting a bit tight, and I was like, God, what am I going to do? I'm going through this again. I've sort of gone up to like 19 stone and then dropped. I got down to 14 once, 14. Okay. And then I gradually get back up to 18 and a half stone. And then I've dropped to 16. And then the last time I did it, I got up to like 18 and a half and sort of dropped to 17 or just under 17. And that's for my son's graduation, because I wanted to get into the suit and look good, for the pictures. So I was sort of really dieted for a few months, but it's such a massive effort to do that. It's like it's a psychological. For me, you're just constantly battling against your brain, which is just it's like it's hell bent on getting me back up to 18 and a half, 19 stone, and it won't stop.
Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. That I've listened to some other podcasts and audiobooks. There's a really good podcast by a guy called Johan Hariri, who wrote the book Sapiens and a few other books. I think he's an anthropologist, and he just done loads of research into weight loss drugs, which is what we're talking about actually. Here's some context for 5 hours, but
I'm trying to drop it in.
Hurry it along, Andrew. Hurry it along. So yeah, I'm on a weight loss drug because I can't. It's really hard to fight. It's really hard to fight my brain, which is sort of maybe I'm just weak. I could say I'm weak.
Don't say that.
But no.
Well, actually, no. You're inadequate.
There's a part of me that's really strong, really, really strong, and that's the part that goes to fast food drive-throughs. That is unbeatable. Try and beat that.
But do you think it's is it a hormonal thing or an emotional thing where we find ourselves weakened? Because I have definitely got it to some degree. I don't know. What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's hormonal. I think it's hormonal. But I think obviously there's things in your brain that are triggering the release of hormones, and whether that's because of your sort of circadian rhythm, it's just doing this because that's what it's always done. That's what it thinks it needs to do, and it's hard to break out of that. I don't know. I think sometimes I have eaten to make myself feel better, definitely. So I've felt sad about work or a relationship or a problem, then I've definitely eaten and drunk to make that feel better. I think everyone has probably got an experience of doing something like that. Yeah. So yeah, but what this drug does, and I'm on one called Mounjaro, it just switches off the production of the hormones that make you hungry. That's basically it.
Those hormones, do they develop? Are they in us when we're born, or do you think they develop?
No,
because I've got a friend that was never given sugar as a child,
right?
And he just doesn't really care about sweet things because his mum and dad just didn't give him sugary things as a reward.
Yeah,
his brain didn't see it as a comforting thing because he just, he didn't. So he doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
So I just wondered.
I think the hunger hormone is I think I could be wrong about this, but I believe every human has to have that to tell you that you're hungry, so you get some. Otherwise, you just die because you'd never eat. So we all have it. So I think just some of us produce more of that than others, and so you don't feel satiated, and you kind of always want to eat until your stomach's so stretched that you're like, I can't eat anymore, and you want to lie on the floor or something because you're just eating too much. So I think that's the difference. And this is what this drug does is it basically works on the receptors in your brain to not detect those hormones, which will then stimulate your behavior to go and eat. And it works. For me, it worked instantly, and I've dropped 1.5 stone now, probably in 5-6 weeks, 5.5 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself twiddling your thumbs though because you're not looking for food? What are you replacing with your time, or what's your head replaced with?
I've gone to the gym a lot more.
Right.
Because I'm now surfing on it. So I'm making the best of it. I've got to, because I've always been quite big. I quite like being big across my shoulders and chest.
And when you're older, you need to be big, don't you?
Definitely.
Fat as well is not a bad thing when you're older. I don't think. To some degree.
But yeah. I mean, there's obviously limits to how fat you want to be, isn't there? I think as well, if you're bald, that's one thing. But I think if you're bald and fat and old.
Oh, don't say that. That's terrible. There's nothing wrong with being bald.
It's not being bald
or fat.
No. I think you could probably get away with 2 out of the 3. I think going for the full 3 out of 3. But anyway, so we get to the gym and eating loads of protein and trying to basically reduce my weight by fat loss. So lose the fat, but maintain the muscle, skeletal muscle and muscle mass, which so far so good. Like I've managed.
Is that harder though because of age, do you think? Because I always wonder, like, when's my body going to stop making as much muscle because of my age? I do, because there is like levels to how much muscle, mind you see, don't you, on the internet, these elderly people that like tonk.
Have you
but surely they're shooting up with some test or something, or I don't know.
Geez, that's a serious allegation.
I don't know.
They do look really good though, don't they? There's not like a drip of fat on them, isn't there? Just amazing. No. Yeah, like, hey, I'm 70 and I'm on this beach. And they're like, how do you work out? And they're like, I do 10,000 press-ups in the morning. It's like, who's got time for that? Like, you just must do press-ups. But they do look absolutely mint, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know.
So anyway, I just want to stay. I want to keep shoulders, chest. You know, I've got good quads. I've got great calves, even if I do say so myself. But a lot of big guys have good calves. That's just the way it is. Kept them pushing a lot of weight around, so the calves need to be good. So, so I want to keep that. So I've been going to the gym, and I've just been getting to the heaviest setting I can possibly get to, like the heaviest weight I can push, and just do 5 reps, and then do 3 sets of 5. Literally, so I can do on the 5th one. I'm like shaking. So,
are you getting lots of DOMs? Lots of pain?
No, not really. I did when I started, but not particularly at all, actually. Anyway, I've completed a few of the machines now, so I can't do any more on the leg press. Can't do any more on the ab machine. Although you might be able to help me with this actually. When I'm on the ab machine, and it's like I'm doing a machine. Okay, you probably look down on people like me because I'm on the machine. I'm going to come off them. I've started going to the main gym floor and picking up actual weights. So, but I feel a bit intimidated down there. You know, I don't feel like I kind of fit in. There's a lot of. They just all look like I know what they're doing. I feel inadequate. Yeah.
Dear me.
Yeah. But I'm like I'm the inadequate mother F. That's what I am.
Motherfucker. You can swear. The inadequate motherfucker in the gym.
Yeah, so I don't like going down there. But anyway.
Aww. Yeah. No, listen, I was saying to my friend, because I started a run club and it was just guys, and like my daughter was like, Mom, you know that run clubs now in this millennial age are just speed dating? And then she started showing me all these social media videos of all these people that are just using run club on a Saturday morning to find their date. And that's like the thing now, especially in London, where just all these people are getting into running just because they're single. Yeah. And I was like, no, that is not what's happening. I am joining Run Club. And then I tried to get my friend there, and she was just like, Hayley, it's just guys. And I'm like, listen, babes, listen. You can't be a woman in today's age into fitness and have a funny feeling about being around loads of guys. It's just the way it is. Okay, women have to put up with that. So I walk into a gym, it's full of guys. I don't give a shit. I'll be inadequate. I'll be the inadequate motherfucker in there because I'm there to get fit. And I'm not. You just got to get over it.
Well, I went down there and then I started picking up some of the dumbbells and doing my bicep curls down there, my shoulder press. I was doing it down there. But that's what I'm doing.
You'll be one of the lads soon, I reckon.
Yeah,
you'll have a gym.
Yeah, definitely.
But with the core, the abs, you know, have you got the leg trappers? I don't know what the official name is, but where it traps your ankles and you kind of sit on it.
Yeah, on the bench, at the bottom of the bench.
No, so it's like a bench that goes like this. Your legs go on it, and they hook under, and then
then you can do a sit up.
Yeah.
Oh, the one where you lay on your front.
Not necessarily. You can do on your front, or you could do that way, where you basically because I hold weights there, and then I put my legs in the air and I trap one leg, and I kind of do so it's like a machine,
right?
But it's also putting a bit of
balancing?
Well, I'm moving 80 kilograms on my
Really?
whatever that's called, the abdominal machine. It just don't feel right to me. I feel like I must be defrauding that somehow. Like the cut, it's not right, is it? I'm not doing that.
No, it's like what you said. It's like when people come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, your abs." They're not particularly big. We just carry fat in different areas. So you've got big, strong cores, but just because you can't see it through skin, or that's just the way. That's the way it is. And like women are always asking me, I'm like, stop, you're strong. Focus on how you feel, not how much of it we can see with our eyeballs. That's not what's going to make you sexy or attractive. It's how you bloody feel.
So this part of the conversation, it jumps topics. So that's why I'm just randomly coming in and just saying, right, we're changing topic conversation. I also had to edit a part out because it included too much information about my daughter. Because that's the problem when you talk with genuine friends. You divulge and give details out like you would friends, but you have to cut them out because obviously I have to protect the privacy of my children and respect their boundaries. I'd tell the whole world everything about my life because that's who I am. So yeah, we jump topic and we're now talking about my daughter going off to university.
This is why I want to encourage women to just be confident in their inadequacies, because their kids are calling them inadequate because they're wired to think we're knobheads. It's innately in us, innately in them, because otherwise they wouldn't fly the nest. They wouldn't ask anybody any other questions. If they thought what you were saying was right, they wouldn't go and ask anyone else anything. So whatever you say, you could be saying everything they need to hear. They can't biologically think that it's good, otherwise they won't leave. Like, you cringy millennial. I get it all the time.
Yeah. Well, so are you a millennial then? Is that what a millennial is?
I don't know.
I've got no idea what generation I am. I don't know what I am. Gen X, Z,
I don't know either.
No idea. No interest really. I don't like being. I don't care. I'm different to the people in my generation anyway. I wouldn't want to be like put inside a generation, so you're like that. But then again, like I'm inside it. So like maybe I don't see it, but then everybody else is like looking at it going, you're exactly the same as everybody your age. Look at you. I don't think I am.
Do you feel like you're not because you're a parent young? Because I feel like that. I feel like I just like didn't fit into that generation because I had to be a mom. So I got confused.
Well, I know I am in a generation because, I think I can relate better to people from my generation for a start. I think you just know, even the words people use, you kind of know that you were watching the same kid TV programs, or when you were younger, you just kind of just have the same references, seen the same things. So I think like I feel more at ease maybe with people who are my generation. It just seems like there's something there. So maybe that's what it is. But also, people are very different, aren't they? Like in our generation, there's all sorts of different people with different tastes and likes and things they do and their personality types, right? I mean, like in my son's generation, I don't know what generation that's supposed to be. He's born in 2001. So what does that make him? You must know this.
I don't know, but I got called woke the other day, and I'm just keeping that. Woke. You know what woke is?
Well, I think the word's widely used now, and it's kind of gone away from its original meaning.
What was
I think its original meaning was being woke to the oppression, of black people, so just basically seeing the world for what it was in terms of oppression against that group. But I think now it's just being used to mean anything that the kind of Daily Mail wouldn't like.
Why?
So I think it's just that the term's being expanded to more or less mean, like if it's on the left of politics, it's woke, and if it's on the right, it's anti-woke. It's basically like that. Well, I think you could like say that yeah, I think that's probably how it's now. You know, like everything becomes about left and right in the end. It's like you were saying earlier, it just becomes a binary thing. You're either woke or you're not, or you're a fascist. Like, maybe that's maybe a bit strong, but I think I think the term's been kind of changed. I think like woke in the original sense, if the original sense of the word is good, I think you're just aware of looking at the world around you and maybe seeing how we're culturally developed, that there's like a inherited oppression of certain groups of people in the way we all kind of think and the way we all do things. I like that. I think this is a good thing to be.
I've wanted to go and do my sociology master's or PhD for years, just because I just the whole thing just, and I don't know if that's because I'm woke or I like being woke or but I honestly think social qualifications now are so important and are going to be such value for the future. And I was so happy to hear my daughter's considering moving away from sciences and more into like social economics and things like that, because there's just such an uncertainty and an unknown and like the need for research and clarity within society and us as a culture and a people. I just think if you can go and study it, my gut tells me that's, and I was right with my sign language. Everyone said, why do you want to be a sign language interpreter? I was like, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Literally. Everyone. And now everyone's like, you've really got a good job. I'm like, I know. I told you.
What a good job.
Yeah, I love my job. Because honestly, I've fucked up so much shit. But that's the one thing I have not fucked up, is choosing to be a sign language interpreter. And I just have a feeling about qualifications that have social kind of study to it. So yeah,
but you know, like
she goes off to do that.
We do feel like we're in a world full of problems, especially when it comes to racial tension and tension between communities. I get that, and we live in it, and we're sensitive to those social issues. I think if someone travelled from the past, from let's say 1900, and looked at the world today and looked at Britain today, they'd probably think, wow, what an amazing, multicultural, diverse, tolerant society they've got. I'm not saying that we should be pleased because we're better than 1900. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that despite the fact there are problems and tensions between certain groups, sometimes pumped up by political leaders and people who want to kind of push division because it gives them authority or gives them money or kudos or status. Like, people are pushing on social media to try and divide people. Some of the arguments they make are, I think sometimes they're sound. They're based on real fears of people, but sometimes it just seems like it's pushing an agenda. But I think we've come a long way, really. And I think we have come a long way.
It's that division, though, like what you just said. It's the problems are there. The problems are with us. And I get my dad and my uncle last night, we had a barbecue, and they were, disagreeing about buying off Alibaba or Temu and that not being ethically, correct, and us needing to be more responsible and things. Someone in a small child in Africa's doing this, and we're living the way we're living, and it's all really true. But it's this division that occurs within society, where that we feel we take on this kind of moral high ground where we go, well, this is wrong, and then we say, well, your behaviour is wrong, and we start dividing. Whereas the reality is, we just have to all accept we're all inadequate, we're all part of the problem. As soon as we open our eyes, as long as you're breathing the same air in this place, and you're popping coins into the machine that is society, you are all part of the problem. And taking a stance is all well and good, because I've got friends that drive Teslas and have this massive kind of new awakening to eco-friendly lifestyle, and I'm like, but you haven't got that by hugging trees and running around the field barefoot. You've got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If if someone's able to buy a Tesla from hugging trees, then fair dues. I'm with you. But if you've worked the system, been in the economy the way you have to get to the top, and then saying it doesn't really sit well with me. So it's almost like this green peace, eco-friendliness is a privilege to have.
You can afford to. You've got to be able to afford to do it. I think that goes with like there's a premium on. Well, you got to have there's a premium on obviously organic food, isn't there? I think there's a premium on going to places on holiday that are, let's say, off grid or like carbon neutral or, you know, less mass market, right? You've got to be just kind of richer to go to these places, haven't you? The kind of closer to nature you want to get, almost like you kind of have to be richer. There's
a premium on the energy it requires to have the mindset. If your energy is going into how am I going to feed these kids, how am I going to get them the shoes, how are they going to stop them being bullied at school, how am I going to do this? If your energy is going into that, you haven't got the premium required to be thinking about the planet. It's just like being a single mom. I haven't got the benefit of being all gentle, feminine energy. I have to be hard, Hayley, as well, and that it's like so it's just about us understanding one another. And
so it's almost like what you're saying is like when it comes to environmental concerns, the day-to-day grind of life and how difficult life is for most people. And let's say also with like being a single mum as well, that it kind of pulls everybody down to a base level, like of, you know, just where we're not great for the planet. Like we have to buy cheaper food. We can't afford the food we want to. That's not great for the environment. The sorts of things we want to do. We can't afford the car that we want to get, or we haven't got the time to be able to get on a bike and all that kind of stuff. So the modern world, despite it, like, you know, politicians endlessly talking about the environment, the situation we find ourselves in, just economically, means that most people didn't have the time to consider that. They're just thinking about day to day.
And this is why I think about you know, Kyla going off to uni and people choosing courses and the social economics and social qualifications being so important, because it's not important so much as they learn that, but they need to research and learn it so they can find ways to trickle it down into the education systems so that the people on the ground that maybe don't go to uni start to understand. I think the younger generation, I feel, because you've got these academic institutes, but they're quite elite, and historically they've been quite elite, haven't they? You didn't touch them. He got a doctor in front of his title, that's it. Now he's off the grid. You ain't going to talk to him.
That seems to change.
Whereas this younger generation, I feel like, going to go into universities, get their qualifications, but learn how to interpret that for people on the ground.
Yeah, but that's like, don't you think that education has been democratized in a way because of the internet and because of things like ChatGPT and AI? Is that you don't have to be a doctor anymore to actually understand something, like you know, where you could only access that information by going on a degree course and having a professor tell you. Now that information's everywhere, that you can just find everything. So I think that does lead to questioning. Like you see it during COVID, right, where people were very quick to question vaccines and very quick to question doctors and the health advice. Right? I'm not saying that I actually happen to agree with vaccines, and I think masks are probably a good thing, but then I'm not a doctor. But like you do like, I think it is now people are in a position to do their own research into things and be able to question. Like I don't think teachers and doctors are like held in such reverence that they used to be, right? Yeah.
I mean, the amount of appointments that I go and interpret, and they're just Googling. It's like, or they're on the computer. And I think, unfortunately, that is what's happened. But is it unfortunate? No, I don't think it's unfortunate. But the education system's all changing, how we see things. And I think that's why I'm saying about my gut is like following your gut. And I've been trying to tell my daughter, like, you've got to listen to your gut. forget what your school's telling you. Like, as much as it is a good school, and I know you've been in this, you know, she's head girl, she's got incredible grades and things, but there's just something in your gut you gotta find. So I've like been encouraging a gap year and stuff, and she's like, no way, she doesn't want to have a gap year. But yeah, just having that gut instinct to be like, what is it you want to say to the world? What is it you want to do? Because that's what the future generation are going to do, because they've got no motivation to bloody go and grind and work their ass off, because what they're working for, they can't buy a house.
They can't be that expensive in Wolverhampton, can they?
Shut up.
Just messing.
No, I'm going to buy a house this year, though.
I know that. You've been saving up, been looking around, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I mean, it's just typical Hayley behaviour to have the first healthiest 2-year relationship with a builder.
I thought you were going to say billionaire, but you didn't. You said builder.
No. Builder, a house builder, and then finishes, that relationship ends a couple of months before she buys a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Typical Hayley behaviour.
So your podcast recently, what exciting guests have you had on? Anybody, you know, anyone give you goose pimples when they were talking? Anybody think, wow, that was something?
I had an American lady talking about her book called Say It Out Loud.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous.
Why were you nervous?
I just think, I don't know if it was because she had a set agenda to what she wanted to talk about, obviously, in terms of, you know, she was just very much waiting for me to kind of ask the questions and she'd deliver the answers. Whereas I don't know if I can work a bit like that. Like, I'm not an interviewee type of podcaster. I'm just like, have a chin wag. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Put the world to right kind of podcaster. Yeah. So that was different. But she's got an incredible insight into how to kind of help your mental well-being and develop a relationship and find yourself, find your voice, so they say. Yeah. And just talk to yourself, because we were taught to say first sign of madness is talking to yourself. But
right.
Actually,
so she's advocating it's okay to talk to yourself. Just talk to yourself. Right.
Yeah, I've read the book and it's amazing. It makes perfect sense. Why don't we talk to ourselves? Why don't we look in the mirror and go, hi, Hayley, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling okay. Because journaling, she said, and I can relate to this, journaling, she would journal and she'd lie to herself a little bit. She'd kind of write down like what she wants to think or what she wants to feel about that. But when you're looking at yourself in the face, and I thought, you know, with the vlogging, it's different. It's not private.
So what do you think that's about? Why did she explain why she would lie to herself when journaling? Because what instantly came to my mind was, with a journalist, there's always that possibility someone else is going to read that, right? So I think it'd be in the back of my mind that hopefully I'm like every other human on earth, you just exaggerate a little bit, maybe a touch, make it sound a little bit better than it really is, because I think everybody sort of does that. So maybe journaling does that, where you kind of thinking that in the future someone's going to find your book, go, we need to make a movie from this book. It's amazing.
Which is like even your feelings to yourself, like I think verbally, and I think everyone's different, obviously, but I'm very much a verbal person where I process things verbally. And that's why vlogging has always helped me. Yeah. But reading that book, I've realised, yes, vlogging has helped me to a certain degree, but it's not private. So obviously I'm never going to be fully... Because everyone always says, Hayley, we love your content because you're vulnerable, you're transparent, you're real, you just sound like you're being sincere and honest, which I am. There's only a level I'm going to be. Like, if I was in complete privacy, vlogging to myself, you know, what... Imagine the honesty and kind of inadequacies you share with yourself and learn about yourself.
And how refreshing would that be if everybody was able to be that honest all the time with everybody? You know, that you could just... It's almost like, for me, it'd be so... I can almost feel it now, how great it would feel to think that everybody was just being honest about how they felt. And even like your podcast called The Inadequate Mother, you're talking about being inadequate, but that's talking about one element of you. But there's loads of things about you that aren't inadequate, and you feel proud and happy about all the little successes, and then you've got these fails too, right? Wouldn't it be great if everybody could just be as open as they would be and honest as they would be as they were in a mirror to themselves when no one else is watching? When people just said, well, why do we always have to have this front? Like, why do we have to have that?
Because if we're fiercely aware of perceptions of others, which is why I was watching the most incredible series. You've got to watch it. I did 6 hours of braiding to dating on the spectrum. Have you watched it?
No.
Honestly, I have never smiled with joy from my heart for that amount of hours.
Well, because they're honest.
So honest. Like, they don't know. And this is what I'm saying, where autistic, they're not necessarily the new, well, they are geniuses in a lot of areas, aren't they? But they're just also got this purity that we all need. Like, they're not aware of other people's perceptions of
So, I mean, the characters in this dating show were, right? Is that what you mean?
Well, they're autistic, yeah. So they're autistic. Yeah. So when they're going on these dates, they've got these autistic ways, and it's so cute. It's so lovely. Beautiful. Honestly, you will not regret watching.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah,
I'll have to give that a watch. So what have you taken from that podcast then, that interview? She said, you've read the book. Have you started to look at yourself? Have you started to have a word with yourself in the mirror?
I'm trying. I haven't done it. She puts in lots of exercises, so I do need to start them. I've just been in a bit of a funk. So I'm going to get out the funk, and then I'm going to start structuring things a little bit. But yeah, well, I think conversations like this always fuel my creativity and stuff in terms of what we can talk about and maybe talk to myself a little bit more.
Yeah, well, people always do say have a word with yourself, don't they? That is the way to. That is the way.
Yourself?
Sometimes, not like a big conversational way. It might be the odd word. Normally, it's something like, "Come on, Palmer." Like if I made a mistake, like if I've done something wrong, I'll be like, "Come on, Palmer, what are you doing?" Or something like that. It'll be along those lines. Not like not anything deep. I don't think I know how to do it any deeper than that. I think it's just. I do have like an internal monologue. Like yesterday, I had a bit of it was a tough day yesterday. We did like this podcast, not this podcast, it's a live stream. And I remember a staff wasn't in. And so I kind of felt the pressure was on a little bit because I'm going to have to set it up all myself. And so I started to feel anxiety within me, and it still hasn't actually fully disappeared yet. And so last night, when I got back, I went to the pub after it, and beautiful sunny day, loads of people about, really, really great. Like to finish that show and then pack away and then go for a few drinks was really, really nice. But I noticed when I got back home, I was saying to myself, "You're anxious. Like you feel anxious." And I started to think about, am I going to sleep okay? So I was saying that to myself. But I think it's like the build up of the whole day, and I think. Yeah, even though it was done, it was kind of a bit residual. So even last night, I wasn't talking to myself, but I was just trying to notice the feeling.
Yeah, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit for that, because I've recognised you do that quite a lot, and I think it's such an incredible skill to have, especially as a man, that you're like, I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling this, or I'm feeling that. And just having a word with yourself, or even saying it out loud. I think that's just, I mean, it's a minor thing to do, but it is extremely rare for men to do it. Yeah. So I think, you need to give yourself a lot of credit for that.
Well, thanks.
Andy, it was a pleasure, as it always is. You honestly, you're turning into one of my favourite podcast people. So thank you for that. And we will catch up again soon on Inadequate Mother Podcast.
So guys, I hope you fully loved watching our little, let's sign it, chin wag. Yeah, I hopefully will be back to creating all kinds of incredible, needed, important, genuine, on point conversations. Comment below anyone that has a fantastic story. I love to connect. I've been a bit over the last 2-3 months just a little bit, a bit crap, because that's what happens when you have a breakup. But I'm back in full swing, ready to get on it. So anyone out there, comment below who would be a fantastic guest on this accessible podcast, where it is interpreted into BSL the best way I can, because I ain't a perfect interpreter. Maybe the next guest could be a trainee interpreter to give some kind of real life feedback on what it's like to be a trainee, because I know it's hard in terms of your self-esteem. I know that's a discussion that's needed. In fact, that's a really good idea, Hayley. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. Love you. Have a fantastic week or weekend or whatever.